With free agency quickly approaching, why not talk about some of the targets the Miami Dolphins are going for? What is up, Finn fans? Yes, this is the video. I'm going to be talking about some free agent targets that I think that the Dolphins should go for. I'm going to run down a list of names, essentially thinking, okay, who should they potentially go for and who I think they'll actually go for. Comment of the day. I'm going to get out of the comment of the day from jump because there's a lot of talk going on that I would like to address because whatever. We'll talk about it. But before I jump into that real quick, I got to shout out my guys at patchvibes.com. I'm telling you, they got so much good merch. Merino patch, Shula patch, old school patch, Tua patch. And they send you a thank you card. Go to patchvibes.com, use the promo code DDW, you get 20% off. They also have t-shirts, pins, all that good stuff. So I'm going to get to comment of the day first. Get this out of the way, and then we'll talk about the free agent targets. With Kyle Van Noy, he hasn't been cut. I made a point to say that in the video, and I made a point to say that they're going to potentially try to trade him, but he hasn't been cut yet. But with that being announced that he's going to be released, if they couldn't get a trade partner, a lot of people are speculating, right? Is this because of a certain player? Is this because of this? Is this because of that? So I get a lot of comments. Then Barry Jackson and Armando Salguero had their podcast where they came out and they said that the Miami Dolphins are all in. They're going to go all in and pursue getting Deshaun Watson. And you have this fan base of the Miami Dolphins that are split 50-50. Half of them want Tua to stay and, build around Tua, and half of you guys, I wouldn't even say half. I'd say it's about a 70-30. Because I'm noticing it in the comment sections, maybe even a 60-40. More people like Tua, and there's still about 40% that think Tua sucks, Tua's a bust, Tua didn't show anything, we need to move on from him, and want Deshaun Watson. And after, Armando Salguero and Barry Jackson came out and had their podcast where they said the Dolphins are going to be very, very aggressive trying to get him, it just stoked that fire. The point of me saying this is this. Every time free agency starts, there's rumors that go around, right? They say they have the inside source. They say they have all this stuff. There's all these rumors of, at one point we were getting Peyton Manning. Remember that? Philman put a full, he went out and saw him, flew out there, did everything, right? There's all these rumors out there. My advice to you guys is, and I will say this for the 4,000th time, if the Dolphins go out and they trade for, Deshaun Watson, which it depends on how much. Deshaun Watson is a top 5 quarterback in the league right now at the age of 25. If you think adding him to this team wouldn't instantly make us a better team, you don't know what you're talking about. Deshaun Watson is a fantastic, elite right now quarterback that they could build off of. So if the Dolphins do go out and get him, fantastic. We have a really good quarterback. Let's see what we can do. If the Dolphins decide Tua's our guy, we have all this cap space, we have all this draft picks, we can build a team around Tua, and let's see what this kid can do. Fantastic. I agree with that too. Either way, the Dolphins are in a situation where they can make a big move, and the future is incredibly bright. That is my stance. So if the Dolphins do trade for Deshaun Watson, I'm going to make a video talking about why it's a good move, what we can do now, what the cap is, where we can move from this, and that. If the Dolphins don't, I'm going to make a move talking about, all right, well, he went here. Let's see what the Dolphins can do, yada, yada. I'm good either way, because either way, the Miami Dolphins are in a fantastic situation where they have a young, up-and-coming quarterback who just needs an offseason, not rehabbing, and actually have an offseason, and I think he can be something special, or they can get a top 5 quarterback. It's a win-win in my mind. It's seriously a win-win. I'm happy both ways. I like Tua. I think the kid's really good. I like his character. I like his play on the field. Yes, he had some downs and he also had some ups. Deshaun Watson is a really good quarterback, top 5. Yes, he had a ton of injuries, 2 ACL tears, broke his collarbone, but he's shown over the last season and the season before that he can win with less. well, not win, but put up great numbers. You still need a full team around you to win. And that's another thing that we need to talk about is Dan Marino never really won the big one because he never had stuff around him. So it all depends if they do make the move for Watson. What's the cap? Can they still put pieces around him? Because the quarterback can't do it all. That's what I'm talking about with Tua. So I just wanted to clear the air on that. Guys, my saying is always, I'd rather be surprised than let down. If you put your eggs on all in one basket because you're listening to the hype, you're listening to all these people say, Dolphins are getting Deshaun Watson. Dolphins are going after Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson. And then he ends up going to the 49ers. And then you're like, this team sucks. Greer sucks. Flores sucks. They suck. You're setting yourself up for failure. Take a deep breath. We're going to talk about free agency. We're going to talk about a bunch of players that the Dolphins can add. I'm going to talk about the cap space. I'm going to talk about a lot of things. Take a deep breath. They get Deshaun Watson, fantastic. We got a top 5 quarterback now. When was the last time we had a top 5 quarterback? Let's see if we can get some pieces around this kid. Let's go win a freaking Super Bowl. They don't get Deshaun Watson, fantastic. We have a good quarterback who has a lot of potential. Let's build around him and let's win a Super Bowl. Gotta have that mindset, people, or you're going to be very upset. But that's it. That's for comment of the day. I wanted to get that out in the front. Let's talk about these free agent targets, right? Right now, the Miami Dolphins are sitting at about $22.5 million in cap space, with a carryover about $15.4 million in cap space. So they're sitting at around $37.9 in cap space. That's without cuts, right? Without the Kyle Van Noy, because he hasn't been cut yet. Possibly Bobby McCain, possibly Jakeem Grant, possibly Jesse Davis, possibly trading Eric Flowers. There's a lot of moves that the Dolphins can do, and you're going to start to see. The 15th of March is when the tampering period can start, when they can start negotiating. The 17th of March is at 4 p.m. is the start of the new year. So today being Wednesday, we literally have 2 weeks from today is the start of free agency. That's why I made the video today on a Wednesday. So we have about 37.9, and like I said, depending on cuts, we could be about 56 million. We could be a ton of cap space, right? Also, you got to remember, though, with that 56 or however much money we have when we cut players, re-sign players, renegotiate, with maybe Byron Jones, we kind of redo his contract, give him a more of a signing bonus to save cap space. We still have to designate about 12 to 13 million in draft picks. So remember that when you look at the cap space. Hey, we have 56. Let's just do all this stuff. It's about 12 to 13 million for the draft picks, right? So let's talk about free agency, right? A lot of players are being, Aaron Jones, CORY LINSLEY. A lot of players are being associated with the Miami Dolphins. Why? One, it's always been the Miami Dolphins. Stephen Ross loves to throw money at players. Also, it's Miami, no tax. And it's Miami. It's nice here. A lot of these players have homes here because they vacation down here, right? But also there's a change in the organization. Won 5 games with the practice squad. Now we went 10-6 with players that Brian Flores likes. Brian Flores is going to add. So it's a lot of players are like, I want to go there. I want to win. I see what Brian Flores is doing. I see the culture they have now. So you're going to see a lot of players want to go here, right? The other thing we need to realize is the cap space is low right now because of COVID and because of, not high ticket sales, all this stuff. Next year, I expect it to go up. So hopefully we get this under control. We could start going to games and all that stuff. Next year, it's going to go up. Next year, the Dolphins are going to have enormous cap space because of the way they structured these contracts for Byron Jones, for Emmanuel Ogbah, Shaq Lawson, all these guys that we signed. They structured their contracts for the first 2 years. You get a bulk of your money. After that, we could cut you or move on and don't cost any money. Same thing with Devontae Parker. After this year, he's not costing anything. So next year in 2022's offseason, the Dolphins are going to have a lot of cap space, So now here are some of the free agent targets that I think the Dolphins should be interested in, and I'll tell you if I would go for them or if the Dolphins would go for them, right? Now, I have these contracts, and these are kind of what the market's dictating on what they will get, and we'll see if if I would go that route, right? The first one that I say this time and time again, you got to build through the trenches. The first one I'm going after, CORY LINSLEY. I talked about it. He's the center from the Green Bay Packers. He already talked about that he's going to be moving on. He's an all-pro center. Helped Aaron Rodgers, just fantastic center. He would shore up the center of this offensive line. That the middle of the offensive line is where it struggled the most. That's where a lot of the pressure came, especially with the stunts that the opposing defensive line would throw. He's looking at an average of 3 years, 33 million, 16.5 million guarantees. So you're looking at about 11 million a year for him. That's kind of what the Dolphins cleared up with getting, potentially cutting Kyle Van Noy. Is that what they're going for? We'll see, but I would like them to go after CORY LINSLEY. Malik Hooker, right? He dealt with a ton of injuries, so his contract is about a 1 year, $3 million. Looking at, I would like to bring him in. A 1 year, $3 million vet. Just bring him in. I would move on from Bobby McCain. We'd save about $5 million. You use that towards Malik Hooker. See what he can do with Eric Rowe. You still have Brandon Jones, the young up-and-coming safety that we drafted last year. Bring in Malik Hooker. See what he can do. See if he can continue to bounce back from that. He's been injury-prone, and that's why he's only going to cost about 1 year, $3 million. Yannick Ngakoue. This is where you start to get heavy when it comes to money. Now, will the Dolphins do it? Will I want to do it? I don't know. I do want to add more pass rush, a legit pass rush, because even Emmanuel Ogbah disappeared for about 3-game stint. He's going to be cost a lot, right? He's looking at 4 years, 70 million, 40 million guaranteed, 17 million a year. Are the Dolphins clearing cap space to make these moves? Are the Dolphins clearing cap space to bring in these big hitters on the offense and defense to really build a good foundation of a team? I don't know. I'm not saying if they are or they aren't, but Yannick Ngakoue can really help this defensive line. That's a lot of money, though. 17 million a year. That's a lot of money. But like I said, the thing that really does help is that the fact that Emmanuel Ogbah and Shaq Lawson next year, they ain't costing much. I think we can actually, they're not even on the books, especially Emmanuel Ogbah. After this year, he's a free agent. Again, Yannick Ngakoue kind of takes over for the money that he's given. Melvin Ingram, he's another one. He's not as expensive as Yannick Ngakoue. He defensive end from the Chargers. 2 years, you're looking at 20 million, 16 million guaranteed. And always look at the guaranteed money. That's where the money, that's where you're actually paying them, right? 2 years, 20 million, 16 guaranteed. You're looking at about 10 million a year, but depending on how they structure it, he could get a ton of money first up front, and then they can just, give him 10 million, and then it's only 6 million guaranteed next year, and then they can cut him and not have to worry about a ton of money, saving about 4 million. But Melvin Ingram is a big, could really help on the pass rush if you're seeing what I'm doing. Then you have HASSAN RIDDICK. With J.J. Watt going to the Arizona Cardinals, that makes him a potential to come out and be a free agent. He also just got a 12.5 sack year. Yes, he was kind of disappeared for most of his career, and then all of a sudden he resurged with that 12.5 sack year. You're looking at a 1 year, 8.5 million for him. That seems like a guy that they could bring in to potentially help with the pass rush and to build off. You do well, we'll pay you. Kind of like we did with Eric Rowe, Devontae Parker, all these guys where you come in, you do well, we'll give you the money. Zealer. A lot of you guys say his name wrong, but you bring him in, you continue to produce, we'll give you your contract. They could do that with HASSAN RIDDICK, right? Bring him in. You have another big year. We'll extend your contract, but you're looking at a 1 year, 8.5 million. Wide receiver, right? This wide receiver draft is incredibly deep. So me personally, I don't know what the Dolphins are doing, but me personally, I'm not throwing money at, Allen Robinson or any of these big wide receivers, because you can draft some really good wide receivers, and you don't even need to do it with the 3rd or 18th pick, because this draft is incredibly deep with wide receivers. But I'm still going to bring in a guy, and I'm going to bring in Curtis Samuel, the wide receiver from the Carolina Panthers, right? You're looking at 3 years, 27 million, 27.5 million, 17.5 guaranteed. You're looking at 8.5 million a year compared to like a 17 million you're looking at for an Allen Robinson or Godwin or all these guys. Bring in a Curtis Samuel. You know, he did well with the Carolina Panthers. He kind of started to bounce back. And then draft players. We still like Preston Williams, we still have Devontae Parker, but bring in a guy like him. And then there's the guy that everyone talks about, the guy that he has said, you know, he's from Miami. You know, he'd love to go back to Miami. He would some people are even saying his family members have came out and said, he'll take a pay cut. You're talking Aaron Jones, running back from the Green Bay Packers. He's going to be expensive. From what I'm reading, the average for him, it's going to be expensive. You're looking at 4 years, 52 million, 30 guaranteed. You're looking at 13 million a year. Am I paying a running back 13 million a year, or can I draft a running back and not have to pay him 13 million a year? There's a ton of good running backs in this draft as well. I would say this draft is the deepest at linebacker, wide receiver, and there's a lot of good running backs as well. If he can knock that down and not get 13 million a year or not be asking for 52 million, which I doubt, I'm pretty sure other teams are going to be throwing cash at him to try to get him to come to their team. I don't know. You also have to look at this with Aaron Jones, right? Is he a product of his environment? Playing with Devontae Adams, playing with Aaron Rodgers. I almost said Aaron Jones. That's his name. Aaron Rodgers. That really could help the run game when they're really focusing on stopping the pass because of what Aaron Rodgers can do. So is he a product of that? Will he go to another team and disappear? This is the thing that always worries me is when, if you notice I have no Steelers on here, I don't have, Juju Smith-Schuster. I don't have any of these Steelers. I have one Raven on here, but he's only because he's a free agent. You look at teams, and there's certain teams that if they let their free agents go, you stay away from them. How many, Mike Wallace, how many times, Timmons, we get these guys and they suck for us because the team let them go for a reason. Why are the Green Bay Packers letting Aaron Jones go? Yes, they drafted that rookie out of Boston College. Yes, they have, some better guys behind him. Well, not better, but they have guys behind him. But is he a product of that environment? Will he come to Miami and just falter because of what he did with Green Bay and because of who Green Bay had? So $13 million for him a year is pretty pricey for a running back. I don't know if I'm doing that. And then I'd like to bring in a veteran backup. Now, Ryan Fitzpatrick talked about, I'm seeing so many articles. I'd like for him to come back, but there's talks of him not that he doesn't want to come back, but he wants to try to start somewhere. And there's some articles out there for that. JACOBY BRISSETT, quarterback. I'd bring him in. He's barely going to cost anything, right? You're looking at 2 years, 14 million, 8 guaranteed. You're looking at about 7 million a year. I'd bring in like a JACOBY BRISSETT, right? I'm also drafting a guy. We still have Sinnett on the roster. Jake Ruddick is a free agent. I don't think they'll bring him back. They brought him back 1,000 times. But I bring in like a JACOBY BRISSETT, right? Have that veteran leadership. There's also a Tyrod Taylor out there. There's also the potential, and I talked about this, of trading for Marcus Mariota. Marcus Mariota's contract is stupid, though. Absolutely stupid. So I wouldn't mind bringing him in if the Dolphins and the Raiders came to some type of conclusion where the Raiders take some of his contract on and we'll give you a higher pick, right? Like say the Dolphins were like, we're only going to give you a 5th for Marcus Mariota or a 6th for Marcus Mariota because his contract is dumb. And the Raiders say, well, what if we take on this amount of his contract or whatever, like the Dolphins did, and you'll give us a higher pick. Dolphins did that with Tannehill. Dolphins did that with a lot of players. Well, we'll take on his contract. You give us a higher pick because we want the pick. Then the Dolphins are like, all right, we'll give you a 4th if you take on some of his contract. And then we get Marcus Mariota. I wouldn't mind that. He's shown when he came in with the Raiders, he can still do something, and he's a very capable backup. I wouldn't mind that. But it all depends on what happens this offseason. But looking at this list that I made, the ones that I really would like the Dolphins to target, and there's also Joe Thuney. I'd also like the Dolphins to potentially, I want them to build the most ridiculous offensive defensive line that it doesn't matter who's the quarterback. It doesn't matter who are the corners or the linebackers or the running backs. This team is going to be ridiculously good because it all starts with the trenches. But I'm bringing in like a Corey Linsley. I'd like to bring in Malik Hooker. I'd like to bring in Curtis Samuel, Hassan Riddick. And I feel like with those signings, you bring in these veteran leaderships that we could build around and that are still pretty good. You know, they fill in the holes that we need. I'd also like to bring in a splashy guy, right? But I feel like CORY LINSLEY is a splashy guy. I don't know if I'm giving Aaron Jones that much money, and I don't know about Yannick Ngakoue. I don't know if the Dolphins would want to give him that much money. Maybe even Melvin Ingram. I'd like to bring them in and see what they do. But that's my list. What do you guys think? Comment below. Let me know what you guys think of your list. But like I said in the beginning of this video, there's a lot that's going to be going on. There's going to be a lot cuts. There's a lot of teams that need to get under cap space. A lot of cuts are going to be happening. Things happen, you know, I'm going to make the video. But all I'm saying is don't get your hopes up, because when it doesn't happen, that's when it hurts the most. So with Deshaun Watson, with potentially getting CORY LINSLEY, with potentially getting, you know, if you want Allen Robinson or all this stuff, just sit back, watch, and enjoy. Trust the process. Greer and Flores took a 5-11 team to 10-6. They know what they're doing. You just got to trust it. If they think that Deshaun Watson is the guy, and if they think that he is the guy to build around, and they're going to try their hardest to get him, trust them, because they know what they're talking about. If it's the other way around and the Dolphins think that Tua is the guy and Deshaun Watson is kind of, they'd give up too much and, you know, we'll let him go somewhere else. They gave up 5 first. We don't want to do that. Trust the process. They know what they're doing. That's all I'm saying. Either way, I trust the team. They know what they're doing. They took a 5-11 team that they tore down and they got them to 10-6 with a ton of young, second youngest team in the NFL. They know what they're doing. Hopefully. We'll see. I don't know. I'm not a fortune teller. I don't have a crystal ball or anything. All I could do is look at it, look at the film, look at the stats, break it down, give you my assessment, and you guys could take that and do what you want with it. But that's the video. Comment below. I'm very interested in what you guys think. If you guys have other names, right? If you want Allen Robinson, tell me why. Tell me what his contract would be. If you guys want Godwin, tell me why. If you want a different backup quarterback, if you want to draft one, if you want to do this or that, comment below. I love reading your guys' comments. That's why I picked comment of the day. Love interacting with you guys and reading your guys' comments. Also, don't forget to check out Miami Sports Music. Fantastic website, YouTube channel. Me and TD are part of it. Solo D started it with Steven. It's a fantastic site, fantastic YouTube channel. Check it out. But other than that, like I said, news breaks, you will get a video from me. The 15th to the 17th is going to be crazy. You're probably going to get multiple videos from me straight from the phone. So it won't be, you know, all these things. It's going to be straight from the phone videos because I want to get you the information as soon as possible. We're getting very close. It's getting crazy. So if you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe to the channel. We have a ton of stuff that's going to be happening. But other than that, I'll see you guys in the next video. But like usual, stay classy. Fins up.